What if the Bible we know today doesn't tell the full story? Imagine a hidden text, known as the Book of Jubilees, or Little Genesis, claiming to reveal ancient knowledge about creation, the patriarchs, and God's divine laws, knowledge that was left out of the traditional Bible. Preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox canon, this forbidden book could change how we understand the foundations of faith. Today we uncover the hidden mysteries of the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees, often called Little Genesis, is unlike any other ancient text. It offers a deeper dive into the mysteries of creation, the divine laws given by God, and the lives of the patriarchs in ways that the traditional Bible only hints at. While excluded from the Western Christian Bible, this book has found a sacred place within the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, where it's regarded as a valuable source of divine knowledge and guidance. Why was this powerful text excluded? The Book of Jubilees claims to contain truths that could illuminate humanity's origins and spiritual history. It's as if this text fills in crucial details, gaps left untouched by the Bible most of us know. The Book of Jubilees doesn't just tell us about creation. It provides insight into the cosmic order, divine laws set by God, and the early covenants with humankind. Referred to as Little Genesis, for its profound parallels with the Book of Genesis, Jubilees claims to reveal untold events, deepening our understanding of the earliest days of humanity. It presents an account of creation that isn't just a story, but an intricate design of order, law, and purpose woven by God Himself. Here we find accounts of angels acting as overseers of creation, specific divine commands given to the patriarchs, and an unbroken thread of faith linking generations from Adam to Abraham. This hidden text also emphasizes the role of divine law from the very beginning, even before Moses. According to Jubilees, God's laws were communicated to the earliest humans through angelic messengers, setting a foundation of purity, worship, and sacred time. These elements suggest that the divine plan for humanity began long before what we typically understand, with the Book of Jubilees acting as a key to unlock these ancient secrets. The Book of Jubilees challenges us to consider what we might be missing. If this Little Genesis reveals the early foundations of human faith and divine law, what other mysteries might it hold? Join us as we delve deeper into this powerful text, examining its insights on creation, time, and humanity's ultimate purpose. One of the most fascinating revelations in the Book of Jubilees is its teaching on sacred time, structured by a unique solar-based calendar. Unlike the traditional lunar calendar used in many ancient cultures, Jubilees describes a 364-day year that God Himself established at the dawn of creation. This solar calendar, overseen by God's angels, was meant to be the ultimate divine measure of time. Why does the Book of Jubilees place such importance on this solar calendar? According to this ancient text, time itself is sacred, meant to be followed in alignment with God's design. The angels were tasked with maintaining this order, guiding the movements of the sun, moon, and stars to keep time in perfect harmony. By following the solar calendar, humanity aligns itself with the rhythm set by the Creator, entering into a sacred rhythm that honors God's structure for the universe. But the Book of Jubilees goes further. It warns that using any other calendar, especially a lunar one, leads to spiritual disorder, disrupting the divine harmony that the solar calendar is meant to maintain. According to Jubilees, straying from God's true measure of time creates a separation from His will and disrupts the purity of worship, sacred festivals, and even the understanding of divine law. This calendar was not just about tracking days, but was a key to living in alignment with God's cosmic order. By following this solar calendar, Jubilees suggests that humanity would remain in step with God's intentions, experiencing peace, harmony, and spiritual alignment. Time, as revealed in this sacred structure, becomes a divine gift, a pattern that connects heaven and earth. Angels govern this structure, maintaining God's will in the cosmos, and reminding us that even time is under divine authority. The Book of Jubilees challenges us to rethink how we perceive time itself. What if, by following God's original design for time, we could align ourselves more closely with His divine purpose? In this segment, Jubilees reveals not just a calendar, but a blueprint for spiritual harmony, urging us to embrace the sacred rhythm woven into creation. In the Book of Jubilees, angels take on roles far beyond simple messengers or occasional protectors. From the very first day of creation, these divine beings were tasked with a powerful responsibility to govern time, seasons, and the very rhythms of the universe. They serve as guardians of creation itself, overseeing the harmony between the heavens and the earth, ensuring that everything aligns perfectly with God's divine purpose. This unique role given to angels offers us a profound insight into the nature of their service. According to the Book of Jubilees, these beings were created to manage the cosmic calendar, safeguarding the balance and structure that sustains life. They direct the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, aligning each day, month, and season according to a divine design that mirrors God's ultimate authority over time itself. In this role, angels become the keepers of sacred order, ensuring that the natural world operates in harmony with God's intentions. The Book of Jubilees presents these angelic roles as part of a cosmic architecture, where every season and cycle is intentional. By aligning creation with divine timing, angels help to maintain the sacred flow of life. This is not merely an abstract concept. It's a reminder that every moment, every sunrise and sunset, is a testament to God's care and precision, upheld by His heavenly servants. These angels working behind the scenes embody the unbroken connection between the celestial and the earthly realms. This portrayal of angels challenges us to consider their presence not just as messengers or protectors, but as powerful agents of God's will who govern the patterns of life itself. The Book of Jubilees reveals that through these angelic beings, God maintains His creation, echoing the call to align our lives with the same rhythm that they uphold. The harmony they sustain reminds us of a greater order, a divine tapestry where every moment is woven together by the hand of the Creator. The Book of Jubilees introduces a bold and divisive concept, a sacred calendar that breaks from tradition. It doesn't simply endorse the solar calendar as a practical timekeeping system. It declares it as the only true, divinely appointed measure of time. According to Jubilees, this 364-day solar calendar, established by God Himself, is maintained by His angels and is essential to staying aligned with the Creator's will. This solar-based calendar isn't merely a preference, it's depicted as a foundational part of God's cosmic design. The Book of Jubilees goes so far as to warn that using any calendar other than the solar disrupts not only earthly order, but spiritual harmony as well. For Jubilees, the lunar calendar, which is traditionally used in many Jewish and other religious traditions, is viewed as a deviation, something that unknowingly pulls followers away from the divine rhythm that God has set for creation. This stance sparks a controversy that resonates even today, challenging established religious practices. The idea that those who follow a lunar cycle may inadvertently stray from God's ordained order raises deep questions about tradition versus divine intention. The Book of Jubilees suggests that failing to observe the solar calendar means losing touch with a foundational aspect of the divine plan, where each day, season, and year fits within a precise and sacred cycle established at the dawn of creation. This calendar isn't just about timekeeping. It represents a profound theological stance. It urges followers to recalibrate their understanding of sacred time, suggesting that aligning with God's solar calendar opens a pathway to spiritual harmony and closeness to His will. It implies that true spiritual order is bound not by human tradition, but by the unchanging rhythm of the universe as set by the Creator. The Book of Jubilees presents a perspective on humanity's origins that extends beyond what we typically find in the Standard Bible. It suggests that Adam himself, long before the time of Moses, was entrusted with divine commandments. These weren't just vague moral instructions, but specific laws handed down directly by angels on topics like the Sabbath, marriage, and purity. Laws that set a foundation for humanity's relationship with God from the very start. According to Jubilees, these commandments weren't isolated instructions, but rather a timeless covenant, establishing order and sanctity in the lives of Adam and his descendants. The angels were not merely observers in this divine transfer. They acted as guardians of these sacred laws, ensuring they were received and understood by humanity from the beginning. Each law was designed to preserve the purity of God's creation, reflecting the divine will in every aspect of human life. These early laws covered everything from observing the Sabbath as a day of rest and devotion to maintaining purity in both body and spirit. Marriage, too, was treated as a divine institution, sanctified by God's law to reflect the unity and harmony of His creation. Jubilees suggests that by following these early commandments, humanity was aligning itself with God's intended order, reinforcing that God's laws were an intrinsic part of life from the very outset, not something introduced only later through Moses. In this view, Moses' role was not to introduce new laws, but to renew and reaffirm the ancient commandments originally given to Adam. By framing these laws as a gift from the very beginning, Jubilees implies that humanity was always meant to live in a sacred rhythm, guided by divine instruction. These early commandments were a way to anchor humanity to God, even before the journey of Israel began. The story of Cain and Abel is one of the earliest and most tragic narratives in the Book of Jubilees. This moment doesn't simply represent an act of violence. It marks a deep violation of God's divine law, shattering the purity of the early generations of humanity. When Cain, driven by jealousy and anger, took his brother Abel's life, it symbolized the beginning of a recurring struggle, the temptation to stray from God's path, and the devastating consequences that follow. Jubilees emphasizes that this act of murder wasn't just a crime against a brother. It was a rebellion against God Himself. Cain's choice to take life, rather than honor it, broke the early covenant with God, introducing humanity to the reality of sin and its capacity to corrupt and destroy. This turning point in Jubilees serves as a reminder of how quickly the innocence of Eden can be lost when divine laws are broken. But even amid this tragedy, the Book of Jubilees offers a glimmer of hope. It tells us that the righteous line continues through Adam and Eve's third son, Seth. Through Seth, a new beginning is established, preserving the covenant with God. Seth represents a restoration of faithfulness, a return to the divine path. His life signifies that God's plan remains unbroken, even when humanity falls short. and the promise of righteousness endures through those who choose to follow his way. This story of Cain, Abel, and Seth highlights an ongoing theme in the Book of Jubilees, the constant struggle between following God's commandments and succumbing to sin. It reminds us that while humanity may falter, the covenant remains alive in those who seek righteousness. The preservation of this righteous line through Seth underscores God's desire for humanity to stay aligned with His will, even after tragedy. After the floodwaters receded, humanity was given a new beginning through Noah, and with this fresh start came a renewed covenant between God and His people. In the Book of Jubilees, Noah doesn't merely survive the flood. He emerges as a pivotal figure who reestablishes the divine order. God grants Noah a covenant, a sacred promise that includes commandments for purity, justice, and Sabbath observance. These laws are more than a moral code. They symbolize humanity's recommitment to live in harmony with God's will, a commitment that had been shattered by the corruption leading up to the flood. Jubilees describes this covenant as foundational, a precursor to the more elaborate commandments that Moses would later receive. Noah is instructed in key principles that align humanity with God's holiness: the observance of the Sabbath as a day of rest and reflection, practices of purity to keep the people separate from corruption, and the preservation of righteous living. These commandments were seen as vital to maintaining the divine balance that the flood had restored. Through Noah, God reestablishes a world where humanity can once again walk in step with divine purpose. In Jubilees, Noah is depicted as a precursor to Moses, bridging the pre-flood world with the era of the law. The instructions he receives serve as a template for the later laws given to Israel, marking Noah as a central figure in the continuity of God's covenant. Just as Moses would later receive the 10 Commandments to guide Israel, Noah's covenant foreshadows the coming of a structured relationship between God and His people, one built on obedience, sanctity, and the observance of divine law. The laws given to Noah symbolize God's desire to restore righteousness and lay the groundwork for the covenant that would one day shape an entire nation. This moment reminds us that from Noah's time forward, God's laws and covenants serve as a steady path, guiding humanity back to its Creator and establishing a foundation that would ultimately be expanded with Israel's covenant. Long before he became the father of a great nation, the young Abraham stood alone in his devotion to God. The Book of Jubilees paints a vivid picture of Abraham's early years, surrounded by a world steeped in idolatry, where false gods and lifeless idols filled every corner of society. Yet, despite the pressures of his environment, Abraham boldly chose a path few dared to walk. From a young age, he sensed the emptiness of idol worship, the futility in the lifeless statues revered by those around him. Jubilees tells us that he not only rejected these idols, he destroyed them, defying his culture and choosing faith in the one true God. This act of defiance was no small gesture. In a world where idol worship was the norm, Abraham's choice was radical. His rejection of idolatry was not just a personal rebellion, it was a declaration of allegiance to a higher truth, a visible stand against the corruption around him. Abraham's actions echo the essence of true faith: bold, unwavering, and unafraid of standing against the status quo for the sake of what is right. Through Jubilees, we see a young man willing to risk everything to honor the Creator, choosing purity over compromise in a time of spiritual darkness. Jubilees portrays Abraham as a model of unshakable faith, a young man with the courage to act on his beliefs. He stands as an example for all who seek purity and devotion in a world filled with distractions and temptations. His rejection of idolatry is more than an act of rebellion. It's an act of spiritual clarity, of seeing beyond the world's illusions and dedicating himself fully to the Creator. This pivotal moment marks Abraham as a man chosen by God, one who would become a beacon of faith and a father to countless generations. Through his early life, Jubilees reveals the depth of Abraham's commitment to God, a commitment that would lay the foundation for the covenant, the promise of blessing that would pass through his descendants and shape the faith of an entire people. His stand against idolatry became the first step on a journey that would lead him to a new land, a divine promise, and a legacy of faith that continues to inspire. Abraham's story is a reminder of the power of faith to transform, even in the midst of a world that has lost its way. The rivalry between Jacob and Esau is often seen as a story of family conflict, a tale of two brothers vying for their father's blessing. But in the Book of Jubilees, their struggle is far more than just a family feud. It's a cosmic clash that reaches beyond their personal lives and into the realm of divine purpose. Jacob, representing the chosen line, stands for righteousness, loyalty to God, and the fulfillment of a divine promise. Esau, on the other hand, embodies rebellion, a path that deviates from God's covenant, with his descendants symbolizing forces that would stand in opposition to God's plan. This ancient rivalry between the two brothers becomes, in Jubilees, a metaphor for the age-old battle between light and darkness, good and evil. Their lives, decisions, and descendants embody more than just individual choices. They symbolize the path of devotion versus the path of defiance. Jacob, chosen by God, represents a line of people called to walk in righteousness, to honor the covenant made with their forefathers. Esau, however, chooses a different path, and through him, Jubilees suggests that the forces of rebellion persist, challenging the light with every generation. In Jubilees, this story goes deeper than a rivalry over birthrights or blessings. Jacob's path aligns with God's will, marking him and his descendants as carriers of the promise. Esau's choices and his descendants, however, represent forces that seek to disrupt this divine order, hinting at a cosmic battle that stretches beyond their lifetime. The descendants of these two brothers continue to influence history, with Jacob's line standing as a beacon of faith, and Esau's lineage symbolizing opposition to God's chosen people. This is no mere sibling rivalry. It is a struggle that echoes throughout the ages, influencing the spiritual destiny of nations. Jubilees portrays Jacob as part of the righteous seed, the chosen line through whom God's promises will be fulfilled. His descendants are called to uphold divine laws and walk in the ways of their forefathers. Esau's descendants, however, embody a different path, a path of opposition. This tale becomes a powerful reminder of the ongoing battle between those who align with God's purpose and those who stray. The lives of Jacob and Esau show us that our choices carry immense weight, impacting not only ourselves, but those who follow after us. The rivalry between Jacob and Esau, seen through the lens of Jubilees, is more than a historical narrative. It is a depiction of the eternal struggle between good and evil, light and darkness. As the line of Jacob continues in faithfulness, they bear the torch of God's promise, illuminating a path for those who choose to walk in righteousness. Esau's line, in contrast, reminds us of the consequences of rebellion and the lasting impact of choices that go against divine will. This cosmic struggle between Jacob and Esau is a reminder that each of us, too, stands at the crossroads with the power to choose our path in God's plan. The tribe of Levi holds a unique position in Israel's history, But according to the Book of Jubilees, their priestly role goes beyond mere heritage. It is an eternal, divinely ordained calling. In this text, Levi is set apart from his brothers, chosen by God to act as the spiritual backbone of Israel. His descendants are not simply inheritors of a family role, but they are guardians of a sacred responsibility, rooted in the very fabric of divine law. Their priesthood, Jubilees suggests, was established by cosmic decree, making their role essential to Israel's spiritual journey and their connection to God. In the eyes of Jubilees, Levi's priesthood is more than just a family duty. It is an eternal covenant, a role woven into the spiritual framework of Israel. Levi's lineage would act as the keepers of divine knowledge, intercessors for the people, and carriers of the sacred flame passed down through generations. This priesthood is grounded in cosmic order, aligning not only Israel, but all creation with God's divine law. As Jubilees emphasizes, Levi's tribe is set apart to ensure that God's laws remain upheld and his covenant with Israel stays unbroken. The Book of Jubilees suggests that Levi's role is an echo of divine will, a priesthood that resonates with God's cosmic order. In this eternal role, the Levites serve not only as priests, but as protectors of the covenant between God and his people. This priesthood was meant to stand as a model of devotion, reflecting God's holiness and guiding Israel to honor the laws established from creation. The priesthood of Levi is portrayed as an ongoing legacy, a commitment to uphold God's purpose through every generation, reminding Israel of their unique place in God's plan. Levi's eternal priesthood serves as a spiritual anchor, grounding Israel's connection to God. This lineage, shaped by cosmic law, offers Israel not only a path to follow, but a reminder of their spiritual purpose. Through sacrifices, rituals, and unyielding faith, the Levites stand as a testament to God's enduring commitment to his people. The Book of Jubilees presents Levi's priesthood as an everlasting calling, woven into the destiny of Israel, a sacred role that is not simply inherited, but divinely appointed to carry forward God's will. The Book of Jubilees, hidden from the mainstream Bible, offers profound insights into God's laws, the lives of the patriarchs, and the very structure of time. It challenges us to consider a different perspective, one where sacred time, angelic order, and cosmic struggles shape our understanding of faith. Is this forbidden knowledge a glimpse into truths we've yet to fully understand?